too, for us, we've always been very dedicated to presenting the symphonic work of Wayne because we've been involved in it for many years. And every time we do it, we get a little nervous because it's a brand new orchestra, a different thing, new pieces, trying to catch that, strive for the unknown and also faithfully, deliver the music that he wrote, which is so profound. So that is something to really care about. This person who has been our mentor and father in all kind of ways. It's been a huge family for many years, for decades. So yes, we're always very much focused on that. And it's a real honor and a privilege to play his music.
We should say it once again. This is the inauguration concert at NFM main hall. So this will be a huge thing for tonight. And the tribute to Wayne Shorter. I just wrote down only a couple of words that were, let's say, somehow pronounced and said openly on the internet and in many interviews about Wayne. And visionary, pioneer, jazz giant, great composer, teacher and mentor. Gentlemen, what would you personally add on top of these? Because I think they are pretty self-explanatory. But to add your personal touch on that would be, namely?
Humanitarian, film buff, expert in the area of cinema. I like to call Wayne Shorter the greatest film composer who never wrote for a film. But he also wrote, every piece of music is a film.
Mm-hmm.
He used to say to us before we went out on stage, let's go make a movie.
But this was strictly connected also with his start, I believe, because I remember him telling in many interviews that while some of his colleagues some were playing basketball, just, like picking up girls and openly, I think he was a bit shyer maybe, and he stayed at home and said, I was drawing, I was painting, I was drawing, and this was, let's say, the basis for further development when I picked instruments and I started to paint with with notes. But if you were to, because you have a great comparison on so many levels, gentlemen. So you played with all of those guys who we really look up to from, let's say, our levels. So you may compare the way he composed, the way he painted, let's say, with notes. Is it something tangible, like something that you could see, looking at what he did? Because like writing for a symphonic, it's a huge thing, isn't it?
Wayne was a magician, that's another word. He was a soothsayer. He was a shaman. He was a father to us. He was a generous man, super generous. And he was a child too. Funny. He was a child, a genius child. That he was super creative all day. He taught us to use creativity in the process of human development, how to become more human, to being creative. He taught us that. I have a funny story about this. There is a book that he somehow didn't like about it. And he bought the book, the first book, and he said, check this cover out. And then next day, he went to his room and drew another cover. And the next,
a better one.
Yes, and then he said, this is the cover now. But the next day, he said, Danilo, accompany me to buy more books. So we went and buy more books, right? And he wanted to buy the same book. And I said, wait a minute. He bought 3 editions of the same book. So we went back to his room, and he said, I wonder what he's doing, right? So he took the book, started tearing the pages up.
Tampering with them? Okay.
No, just taking off.
Okay.
And then he looked at me, I'm sitting there, I was down, because I was like, what is he doing? He said, have one and do the same thing. and I said to him, doctor, I call him doctor. I said, doctor, what are you doing? You're buying all this book and your bag is really heavy. He said, Danilo, we need to get this book out of circulation.
Not good enough.
He said, nobody deserves to read this book.
Okay, so from what you say, it's also, I mean, like, he was not, let's say, openly, when you look at him, you know, for a while, you thought that he was pretty serious, I would say, at the very first glance. But after a moment, when you really get into his world and you understand how he behaved, even if you're not a big fan of jazz, but just a human being, you understand that this is a special person. I think his Buddhism, if we wanted to say a couple of words about this particular part of his lifetime, heavily influenced also the way he acted on so many levels. Can you confirm that or deny it in any way?
Confirm. You confirm it, Johnny.
Yeah, no, he was very caring. He was a very family-oriented person. Yeah, my wife's here. She could tell you the same. With our kids. Yeah, she's back there.
Hello, welcome.
And he knew our kids from the very beginning. His humanity with children was astounding, because he could get down there with them and create, and he still had the childlike freedom and was always creating and being playful. And so one day, my eldest daughter, who's now going to be 26 years old tomorrow, she was a tiny little girl. She was on the phone laughing one day. Laughing, talking, laughing, and finally I said, who are you talking to? She handed me the phone and said, it's Wayne, Dad. It's Wayne.
But it only shows how close you were to each other, because, you know, when I was preparing this conversation of ours, I felt a bit intimidated. I was afraid that, you know, your world is so, let's say, close, you were so close to each other, that me would be a kind of invader, you know, like getting onto the field. But it only shows how, let's say, human being with the proper H and B at the very beginning, you know, Wayne was, right? So when we are talking about the family, I think you might feel actually that he's on stage with us tonight, isn't it so?
Actually, yes. That's the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Wayne always inspired us to do and encouraged us to do. And he was a very generous man. That's a very, I mean, I keep repeating that, but he really, when he asked about how is your life, he wanted to hear and engage in a conversation. And the part that people don't really know about him, that they might take it different, is when you saw him on the stage, he looks like he was very quiet and all of that, but he probably, out of the three of us, he was the most noisy one on the stage. But he developed an art of talking without moving. He was like, you know what I mean?
He would turn around too and say,
yeah, that's it. And what is it?
And nobody would see that from the outside.
Yeah, there was all these little children, you know. And we had a ritual that we still do to this day, which is to put our head together before every concert. We put our head together in a circle, and then we said, and put the foot, you know, like that. We did it until he couldn't do anymore, but we did it all to the 20 years.
What does it show? Because, you know, there are so many occasions, and I think you, the audience, you can confirm that musicians may come, they may go, you know, just the regular stuff, right? So I was, let's say, commissioned, I was given monies, I can spend some time together, and let's go, it's the end. But what shows and what, let's say, gets out of the pictures even of you spending time together on stage and outside of that, even when you talk about it, it's just like, you know, you're just like a huge family, and it's striking, you know, even in the world, because this world is competitive stuff, isn't it? So, you know.
Oh man, you know, we are brothers and we are very close. Our families are very close, and you know, Wayne's family also involves our sisters, who you're going to see on stage tonight, Terry Lynn Carrington and Esperanza Spalding, and Robbie Coltrane, another brother, who's more new to the situation, but not new to us, obviously.
Sure.
But it is a family, and you know, I want to also openly say, and I know Danilo wants to say too, Piotr also, when he started to work with us many years ago, he was a very kindred spirit. He was very open, generous, and we connected with him. We didn't know him at all, and he produced a concert, and then after that it was like, okay, he's part of our family, and we wanted to be around him because he was always creating and had vision for creating, and that's the kind of people that Wayne loved to always.
That sounds so good. I'm a bit moved right now, so you need to stop now. Sorry.
It is a family, you know, like Wayne taught us that, for example, you're a family. We just happen to be together in a state of illusion. But tonight when we perform, you are also performing with us. This is how he taught us that, you know, you have the symphony, you have the quintet, and you have the audience. The audience is a part of the magic, you know, and he taught us to be in the moment, to be there. Our interventions tonight is going to be a lot of things that are not going to happen again. And he taught us, and we call that zero gravity. It's a state of being true to the moment, with the audience, engaged, listening.
Like the name of the movie that was created.
Yes.
Just let me emphasize 3 parts. If somebody hasn't seen that yet, please do. Because about Wayne Shorter, actually, I can't see any more exhaustive piece of work that was created with a great, really great job done by Dorzi Alavi. I want to cite one more thing. I know that you probably keep on repeating that on many different occasions, but I think this could be actually the words that could be hung somewhere over the stage for tonight. You can't rehearse the unknown. So this is a very strong statement, right? So it's all about this festival as well, because I think improvisation is something that you can hardly control, which is great actually, because we love to control everything actually, most of the time. Do you feel free when you get on stage? And was it somehow that your father, let me call him this way, father figure, gave something extra to you that you feel freer right there on stage?
Absolutely. He challenged us, but he also made space. He encouraged us. He believed in us, that we could go with him to these places. Absolutely. And also, I think, and I'll say this about Danilo because I'm not going to embarrass him. We believe that music is a powerful tool for social change, spiritual transformation, all kinds of things. He has a foundation. He developed the Global Jazz Institute at Berklee School of Music, where I teach with him for now 13 years already. Wayne was a firm believer in the power of music as a healing force, and boy, does this world need that right now.
Definitely it does. I remember he said also to you, he said, you need to play the music that you would like to hear in a better world. Let me put it more or less like that, right? So
You want to say?
what you want to pronounce should be pronounced on stage, right? So
Yeah, he said, you know, he said, play and write music the way you want the world to be like. Think, play with a dream. Play to celebrate life. Those are Wayne's exact comment. In my case, my transformation was from being a single man to being married. Because Wayne was concerned about the state of my artistry. He said, Danilo, I'm worried. He told Carolina Shore, he said, I'm worried about Danilo because he thinks he needs more music lessons, and what he actually needs is to live more, because if you collect stories, that's what you're going to be playing, the stories you collect. And he told John, what was that, the definition of courage?
Oh, yeah.
They were all worried about me, by the way. He also...
Yeah, because I'm the oldest married member, besides Wayne.
But my beautiful wife, who I'm blessed to have, and the beautiful family I have, he also saw it. But Wayne kind of forced it.
The definition of courage, he said,
Yes.
the definition of courage is to love one woman for your entire existence. To really embrace that. And it's not, you know, for real, like, he wasn't joking.
it also shows like this symbiosis of the life and music. It's so easy, actually, in our lifetime to get into those tasks that we do, to stick to them, without this, let's say, significance at the background, right, of our everyday life. And I believe, like, looking at him as a person, he somehow managed to give the proper balance between these two. He's as a persona, like being respected in his everyday life, in his private life. Maybe that's why he was so impactful onto you as well, and somehow by giving an example, something like that.
Well, for me, it was the impactful thing about Wayne. He impacted all of us, not only us. We were all being impacted by Wayne, or by his artistry. I think what really sealed the deal for me, if you want to say it, is that he portrayed a necessary process that we need right now, which is the action of creativity. Everybody needs to be a creative being, because we all are, but also caring, with the idea of caring for people, for the idea of thinking of others. That is the message that I feel very strong from Wayne. He was into creativity. He was into being an innovator about coming out with new ideas, but he always did it and how it would impact all of us. And that's a different thing. He only did it with care for the world. And that's something that we can't afford to have the process of artists developing their own creativity at the expense of the world, the way it's moving. We have to develop the art in the way that really put us at the forefront of caregiving, social service. We are volunteer agents of change in the world, and we have to address that as a human being. Artists are in charge of reimagining how the society is going to look like.
So vital and important.
Yes.
In the very moment that you are pronouncing and saying that aloud, we experience wars, we experience huge conflicts, we are deprived also of, like a possibility to speak the messages properly. We are supposed to be defending one side by, like excluding the other, while these are just humans, right? So they are all exactly the humans. Okay, what I want to say for tonight, the constellation of your energies will be connected on one stage, the huge stage right here, seated at Narodowe Forum Muzyki in Wrocław. Esperanza Spalding, Ravi Coltrane, Danilo Perez, John Patitucci, Terry Lyne Carrington, along with NFM Wrocław Philharmonic, ladies and gentlemen. So this is not going to be a minor but a major thing actually happening tonight, and with Clark Rondell just being right there at the top of this event. I really wish you that you are, have proper energy to convey everything what you want to convey straight from your head. Are you going to stick your heads like with the whole group tonight?
Oh yes, we do that.
We have to.
We have to. That's just a mantra. We have to do that.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to do exactly the same before the concert. So let's just do it, okay? Yeah. That would be a huge thing, okay?
Can I just say something? Thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you to all of you for supporting this art form, supporting people like creative people like Wayne. And Piotr is doing an exceptional job. We need more places like this in the world. We believe that if we have more of these places in the world, we would be walking towards a more just society.
My goosebumps only confirm that you are right. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, big applause for